If you can't get out of bed right now, if even the smallest task feels impossible, I need you to hear this first. You're not lazy. Most people think this is a discipline problem, like, I just need to try harder. But what's actually happening is very different. Right now, your brain isn't in a state where effort works normally. So when you try to push yourself and fail, you don't just stay stuck, you start blaming yourself. And that makes everything heavier. Here's the mechanism. When you stop taking action, your brain stops getting reward signals. No reward, everything feels pointless. Everything feels pointless, you stop acting, and the loop continues. This is exactly what frameworks like cognitive behavioral therapy describe. It's not that you have no motivation, it's that your system isn't generating it right now. And here's the part most people get wrong. Motivation doesn't come first. Action does. A lot of people say, I'll start when I feel ready. That almost never works in this state. Because ready is a feeling, and right now, your brain isn't producing that feeling. Another mistake is this. Tomorrow, I'll fix everything. That's too big. When the target is too high, failure is almost guaranteed, and every failure reinforces the loop. So today isn't about fixing your life. It's not even about improving. Today is about one thing. Don't make it worse. 1. Move your body first. Not a workout, not a routine, just sit up. Or put your feet on the floor. Don't negotiate with your thoughts. Move before your brain argues. 2. Change your environment. Your brain is heavily context-driven. Open the curtains, turn on a light. Move to a different spot in the room. Same place equals same thoughts. Change the input, even slightly. 3. Remove decisions. Right now, decisions are expensive. So don't ask, what should I do today? Pick one thing in advance. Drink water. Step outside for 1 minute. Make it so small it feels almost pointless. That's the point. If you can do these, your system is still responsive. Keep going, slowly. If even this feels impossible, your load is much heavier right now. At that point, willpower isn't the tool, support is. And if this has been going on for more than 2 weeks, you're not dealing with a bad day anymore. You're dealing with something that deserves real care. Let's be clear one more time. You're not stuck because you're weak. You're stuck because your system is overloaded. So don't aim for perfect today. Just don't go further down. That's enough. What you are dealing with is often not a lack of character. It is a state shift. When a person is under prolonged stress, sleep loss, isolation, grief, or emotional overload, the brain does not operate like it does on a normal day. Attention gets narrower, energy drops, decision-making becomes expensive, and tasks that used to feel simple can suddenly feel heavy, delayed, or impossible. That is why just try harder usually fails. In psychology, this is one of the reasons small action matters so much. Not because small action magically fixes everything, but because action interrupts the loop. When you remain still for too long, your brain receives less evidence that movement leads to relief, reward, or progress. So the system starts predicting less and less possibility. That prediction becomes part of the problem. This is also why people often feel guilty before they even begin. They are not only fighting the task itself, they are fighting the fear that the task will fail, the fear that they are behind, and the fear that they are broken. That added pressure makes the first step feel even heavier. So the goal is not confidence first. The goal is contact first. Contact with the floor. contact with the light, contact with water, contact with one small, concrete action. That is why behavioral psychology puts so much weight on tiny routines, environmental design, and reduced friction. If the brain is overloaded, then the solution cannot be another overload. You do not heal overload by demanding more force from an overloaded system. You reduce the load. This is also where self-talk matters, not in a magical way, and not as a replacement for treatment or support, but because the language you use changes the pressure around the task. When the internal message is, "I am lazy," the task becomes identity-based. When the message is, "I am overwhelmed," the task becomes situational. That difference matters, because identities feel permanent, states can change. And that is the practical message here. What feels impossible today may become manageable tomorrow, not because your personality suddenly transformed, but because your state changed. So the evidence-based takeaway is simple. When you are low, do not wait for motivation. Start with something small enough to survive. When the mind is loud, simplify the environment. When the body feels frozen, move it gently first. When the problem feels huge, shrink the next step until it is almost embarrassingly small. That is not weakness. That is strategy. And if this heaviness has been going on for a long time, or it is affecting sleep, appetite, work, study, or your ability to function, then this is no longer just a bad moment. At that point, real support matters. A clinician, counselor, doctor, or trusted person can help you figure out what is actually driving the state you are in. So the final summary is this: you are not failing because you are lazy. You may be stuck in a state that is making effort unusually expensive. The way out is usually not one giant breakthrough. It is a series of tiny reductions in friction, tiny actions, and tiny returns to movement. Today does not need to be perfect. Today only needs to become slightly more workable than before. And that is enough.